We are building the ultimate mini rock crawler, starting from an Amazon mini Jeep body and adding the engine from a four-wheeler, the axles from a Samurai, real crawler suspension and steering, and a whole lot of fabrication. But today is one of the most exciting pieces of this puzzle because we are going to try and get this thing running. And we are giving away a 1-ton Cummins, $20,000 in cash, and an RTR. Every dollar you spend at grindhardplumbingco.com gets you an entry to win. We have a new shirt, new flag, children's tees just dropped today. So get yourself entered to win an amazing truck.
I haven't been getting any work done on the Amazon Mini Jeep because I started something much more exciting back there. But our friend Ryan has been visiting this week, so he's gonna start messing with some drive lines. You've seen Ryan on the channel before. A couple years ago, he helped us revive the Tesla from its watery grave. While I'm working on the trike, Ryan's gonna mess around with this. Yeah, problem one, drive shaft too long. Imagine that. This isn't as small as a Samurai. Who knew? Ryan's gonna do a little choppy chop and a little bit of lathe, so it's a satisfying noise, honestly. So you could grind that off with the belt grinder a bit, just if you wanted to, because taking off chonky welds on the lathe is kind of a pain. Your decision now. Oh,
Ryan decided to turn down the end of the drive shaft so that it fits inside of the shortened tube. This will make it easy to weld and super strong.
Smells like 90s.
yeah, should work. Over here and
Weldy schmeldy.
Yeah. How long ago did you run a TIG welder?
Never.
Never?
Oh, once, but the bumper fell off, so I don't count it.
Nice. All right, I'll weld this then.
Yeah.
You can watch.
When the two pieces of steel are fitted together this closely, Ethan can do the first pass without any rod and just melt the two pieces together and then come in with some rod later on.
I wonder which end's supposed to be which.
Does it matter?
It might. Probably not.
Because which one do you want exposed to the rocks?
There we go. Well, now we get to put some bolts in it and see what happens when we...
Now we need to make sure that the drive shaft has enough room without binding at full articulation of the rear axle. So we brought over the cherry picker to put it to the test.
Oh yeah, that's like nothing. The question is, does it...
Oh, does it bind?
Does it bind?
Seems like it is bound.
Thoroughly, yes. The back one's not bound at all. It's just the front one, actually. Really though, like the fact that it binds at the very, very end, not bad. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, how much of the binding was actually just grease? Yum.
So what's the verdict on the front one?
Gotta take out 8 inches, which is much more than the average American. We are getting ready to put this drive line back on. So cut it off. Now we have the original part of the shaft there. So we're gonna try and put it back on. What we noticed already is that it has a nice interference fit. So we're gonna have to heat up the tube so that it actually fits around there. Because when we heat it up, it'll expand and then it'll sneak right on. Look at that. Fancy.
I don't see any binding. No. There's plenty of space.
I think so.
Nifty!
Looks like she fits pretty nice.
Oh yeah, real nice. No binding, no nothing.
Now that both the front and rear drive shafts are ready, it's time to get started on the hydraulic power steering system.
That right there could be pretty good.
Let me get the seat.
A little, maybe like there or
I want
something.
it really high up.
Well, I don't know. I was just thinking for your knees. Barstool racer style.
I mean, honestly.
It looks so dumb. I mean, yeah, it doesn't really matter if it's like kind of close to the knees because it's like 16 or 17 inches. Yeah.
Notchy, notchy.
We had to tack in the steering temporarily so we knew where everything would go before we made the final brackets for the steering system.
Not 100%.
The first iteration of this design just didn't quite fit, so we redesigned it and cut it out again.
Yeah, beautiful. Look at that. Nice and centered up. All right, time to make the second part.
Fried chicken.
Let's see. How does it fit? Ooh, very nice.
23
Clear up and we'll see if they fit together.
Since TIG welding isn't really a one-handed sport, as Ryan said, I'll go just weld it up and then Ryan can keep fiddling with that stuff while I keep building a trike. Well, we went on a mission to town this morning, picked up the bumpers for my truck that are done being powder coated. But more importantly, we got all the lines we need to hook up and test this power steering system. This is just a random line from O'Reilly's, but it has the right fitting on the end, because it's a weird metric fitting that the hydraulic place did not have. So we'll have to make an adapter with that. We'll weld something onto this line here that will go to this here fitting. So once we have that, we have the other two lines here for the ram, and we will have functional steering. Going the wrong direction, but it's a good place to start. Look at that.
Unfortunately, one of these brand new lines did not match at all. But again, Ethan's hoarder tendencies are getting us out of trouble because he has just the thing.
That. So we just need to cut that off, weld it onto there, and we'll have ourselves an adapter. If I drill that out just a little bit more, this will fit right inside of it, which will make it a lot easier to weld. Yeah, that wasn't bad at all. Bada bing, bada boom, adapter in the room. Yep. Pressure tested to like 4 PSI.
While we were getting everything ready to test the power steering system, the 3D printer was printing an adapter so that we could mount our steering wheel to this new column. And just as we were topping off the ATF for the first test of the steering, the printer finished our steering adapter.
The only piece we're missing to make the hydraulic steering work on the Mini Jeep is a male-to-male AN fitting. We didn't have one, so I'm gonna weld these two things together and make one. Very, very hot. And I changed the color of the anodization too. Now it's gold.
That seems pretty good. All right.
Feels tight.
Snook and toot.
And just as we were topping off the ATF for the first test of the steering, the printer finished our steering adapter.
Not the finished product, but it will work for some testing.
But as soon as we gave it power, we found out there was a leak in one of the lines.
Yep, it's either the weld or, yeah, it's the weld. We got steering. That's turned down pretty low on the dial, isn't it?
It's all the way down.
Yeah, and it steers pretty decently even if all the way down. We need to put in some stops somewhere because the ram actually has more throw than the axle can handle.
It was a blast working with Ryan. I wish we could see him more. But right as he left, Dave came over to help this community project make it to the finish line.
Sadly, Ryan had to leave. I just got back from taking him to the airport. But as a parting gift, he designed some shift knobs for us. Shrek and Donkey. They were meant to be all green, but we ran out of green filament.
It's kind of funnier this way, though.
It kind of is. Oh, look at that Shrek. It's a red-headed Shrek shifter. Also, I think there's some parts that you may not know about yet. So first off, Donkey says Shrek on it, and Shrek says Donkey. But look, they both have quotes. That's a nice boulder.
Oh,
And I'm making waffles.
that's awesome.
Also, this one has a nice little like hand grip to
Yeah,
it.
I
That's
noticed that seems like a good feature in the phone.
Yeah.
So Dave came up and gave us some help, starting with welding everything together that we had just lightly tacked. He is the coolest guy to hang out with. You guys gotta check out his YouTube channel, The Dirt Head Shed.
I'm just trying to fix some of these mess ups. I'm not the greatest TIG welder. Sometimes you gotta fake it. These things are pretty cool. Orbital valve is basically just a steering servo. So you got like left and right, and pressure in and pressure out. And then they give you this cool like steering wheel coupler deal.
Oh, Dave, you should have been here
Holds it
for
all
it.
up.
We looked that up. We just took a 50-50 chance on which one was right and which one was left, and we got it right the first try.
Cruising this thing across the prairie, like just beautiful wheat fields.
We don't have a lot of wheat fields around here.
Oh, all right. Then we're going to the rocks and we're going into the woods.
There's huckleberry fields up there, sort
Oh,
of.
that would be cool. This is the Huckleberry Crawler.
There you go.
Once the steering was all tightened up, we concentrated on getting the seat situation figured out. And Ethan decided it was worth sacrificing a couple more seats from the Humvees we bought at military auction.
We might have to remove the hog rings. Do you have hog rings and hog ring pliers and stuff?
Ooh,
These little guys.
never heard of them.
It's basically like a staple that bends in here and loops around to hold upholstery to like metal rails and things. That's a hog ring.
Are you ready to see the latest dumb thing we're probably gonna buy?
Always. Oh no.
I knew that was gonna be a reaction.
No.
It's atrocious,
Yeah.
but it's also $2,500, so.
I'm curious to see how these line up.
Oh, you wanna go straight into it? Let's see how it goes. Kinda money. That kind of lines up, and then check this out. The width on it just needs to be the same.
Oh, that's looking like perfect.
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
We're in here. You see if I can bum the welder for a minute and get that thing tacked in. What a cool project. I think this thing's done.
Nice!
I just gotta bolt the back to the base and set it in there and see if it's kind of gonna fit in space. It's weird, all these like little lightweight parts got really heavy once it was all welded together. Oh, it's perfect.
Dave, that looks great.
It's so good.
It's gonna be real cozy too.
Intimate, they might say.
Yeah, that would be another word for it. But you know what? For a mini Jeep designed for children, it's actually pretty nice.
Yeah. Give it a little lean
You'll just
back.
have to like, oh yeah.
I think that's gonna be the jam.
Dave is normally driving around the lowest cars possible, but he finally brought up a big truck and wanted to check out our rally track.
The guys from Ruffian Snowbikes are still here. We did some testing over the weekend of their prototype, awesome two-stroke snowbike machine, and they wanted to help out with something in the shop. So obviously, the mini Jeep has been touched by everyone who's come to stay here. So now they're
This
gonna.
is truly a community build at this point.
It is, exactly. Mike and Derek are gonna help out for the day and see what they can get done. They're gonna try to get it running. Mike's gonna work on the wiring harness. Derek's gonna see if he can get the exhaust kind of sort of turned into something. I just unfurled this myself. I didn't even know we were getting this.
Do you
but
see it has the treehouse and the Chang Li there?
and the jet boat.
Yeah.
This is a
Einstein.
it's
That's
a
you,
Reinhardt
Einstein?
version of the Idaho state flag.
Look,
And right there it says Esto Premium.
That's you.
So the Idaho state flag says Esto Perpetua, I think, which means like this will be forever, basically in Latin or something. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But it's something along those lines. And so this says Esto Premium.
So this exhaust used to fit probably on the left side, so we're just gonna use all the pieces, the muffler right into this bar. So we're gonna have to chop that bar out. We're gonna do, keep it behind the grill so it looks nice and sexy. Bring it probably here, do a little side dump. Yeah, it looks a lot better. Probably have to put something back in there, but we'll worry about that later. We found this piece of pipe. Actually works perfect. It's actually gonna clear the grill without any crazy modifications.
Nice.
While Derek was working on the exhaust, Mike was sorting through the wiring harness, but with everything plugged in, it seemed like the engine just didn't want to start.
That jumper pack is basically dead, so.
Chang Li batteries for the win, man.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So
It's amazing how much we've used those, Edward.
Oh yeah. And even now that we know we have enough voltage, it wasn't starting. It seems like it's always these little things that slow down our projects.
Jumper pack.
That guy jumper pack's dead.
Hit it again. It just freaks out sometimes.
There's mild welding.
Starter button's broken or the solenoid's bad?
you can't fix.
Well, no, because we still have the option that it thinks it's not in neutral. Either it thinks it's not in neutral, it thinks the brake isn't on,
we don't have
the
the
starter
brake.
button's bad, or the solenoid's
Right,
bad.
not-
So all we need to do is just wire our own solenoid and our own starter switch,
bypass
because we don't want the stupid anti-drive
Yeah.
forward by accident mode anyway.
Even for professionals like Mike and Derek that are building their own engine from scratch, their own dedicated snow bike, and have lots of experience from other fields, it's still the little things that stump you. If you want to get to know these guys better and what they're working on, check out the last episode of our Sent and Bent podcast. It's available now wherever you listen to podcasts and here on YouTube.
We're about to show these guys places you can't even walk, man. You just gotta flip the key, and then it's on. It has a push to start button, but that doesn't actually do anything.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, we're flying.
Every time I see that thing go by, I feel like there's more and more damage, like more pieces hanging off than ever before.
When driving the Ching Li, you need a passenger for extra horsepower.
The rear tires leak, so I did let maximum pressure in there, so that's definitely not helping us.
Come on! Come on!
Oh, we were so close!
You know how many times I've had to push that thing around?
Good luck. Just get the big excavator, just bury it down there. Just dig a hole and just drop it in. Yeah, that thing needs to disappear. We can dig a hole back to China where it came from.
Bam, baby! Just let a little air out the tires and she cooked right on up, man. Remember that hill you said it couldn't make it up?
Yeah.
That's what the Chang Li does. It just impresses people with its performance.
He walked into the shop and the first words out of his mouth were, "That Chang Li is very underwhelming." So impressing people is not what it does.
But it made it up the hill.
No one's impressed! That hill is, a toddler could walk up that hill. You're not really proving your point here, Edwin.
Since Derek wasn't impressed, I took Steven and the Chang Li to prove a point, and he decided to bet against the Chang Li, which is something you should never do against the world's cheapest car.
I'm gonna be truly astounded if we make it up this hill with both of us in here.
You'll see.
You make it first try, I'll do 20 push-ups.
Okay. Dude, you're gonna be doing push-ups!
Oh.
Let's go!
No.
Come on, baby! Oh! Places you can't even walk, man.
Oh man.
Places you can't even walk.
I shouldn't have doubted this man in the Chang Li.
I'll film you doing your push-ups.
You do have more experience in Chang Li's than anyone else in the history of Chinese cars.
That's what happens when you bet against the world's cheapest SUV, man.
I'll keep making bets against it. One of these times.
At this point, I've basically convinced my wife to do the 100-mile challenge with me.
No, that is such a bad idea for the legacy of your marriage, man.
Dude, what if that was my divorce?
Oh. No, I just remember the time she said, one man, one Chang Li, 100 miles, one divorce.
Yep.
And that was 4 things you don't want to hear together.
She's super not keen on me doing the 100-mile challenge by myself. The guys are super... I mean, after that experience, you would do it with me.
Not for 100 miles, though.
Yeah, 100, just 100.
Just 100. I think you should start with like a marathon in this one. If you can make it 26 miles, maybe I'll consider 100-mile challenge. Also, though, if your wife goes with you, you'll have so much better food. I saw the mac and cheese that you and Will were eating.
No, same rules. Only mac and cheese.
Yeah, see, you lost me there.
Dang it.
Getting it all prettied up?
Yes, sir.
Sadly, Mike and Derek had to leave right before things got interesting.
We've had a lot of different people helping us with this little mini Jeep, and I've been focused on the trike. Today, I'm gonna wrap up some loose ends so that this thing can actually move forward and backward. I need to make a billet adapter that adapts this 4-bolt pattern on the drive shaft, the output drive shaft from the engine, to this 4-bolt pattern for the input shaft of the transfer case. I got this chunk of aluminum here. I just have to figure out my order of operations, and we'll see how this chop saw likes a 1.25 inch thick chunk of aluminum. It works really good, but it gets a little hot, so keep it lubricated. Aluminum is very sticky when it gets warm. The blade is not actually designed for aluminum, it's designed for steel, but it does work. The thing is, the holes themselves don't actually have to be all that perfect, because this little rim there will keep it centered. But that means that I have to bore that little ring part perfectly concentrically from both sides. I'm starting with my smallest fly cutter. I might have to move up to the next size to get the full 1.25 inch, but just working up a little bit at a time, it's much less likely to cause problems. I do seem to remember when I was a little kid that my dad nicknamed me Dr. Distracto at one point.
Dr. Distracto?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't like call me that frequently, just whenever I was being distracted. There we go. That's a nice looking bore. The idea here is that now it doesn't really matter where this is in space because I can just spin it around, so it'll always be concentric to that other hole there. Turning a square into a circle. It also happens that these need to be countersunk for this to fit in there. Countersunk, whatever. And this countersink bit is the right bevel for these screws. So I'll actually go a little deeper with this.
Good?
Yeah, fits perfectly. No wobble, no wiggle. All right, so I thought about this a little bit, and what I'm gonna do is just finish drilling and tapping all these holes here in the mill, and then to bore out the center bore here, I'm going to throw it on the lathe, and then, you know, fine tune some other stuff on there as well. But I also realized that one thing I need to do is, if you look at the size of that circle there, it's bigger and somewhat overlapping these holes. So what I need to do is I need to drill those out and individually countersink them with a flat surface there before I bore out the center, so that there's a spot for that bolt to live. Obviously, I can get rid of some of this thickness. It doesn't have to be that deep, but yeah. Turns out this countersink bit is just slightly bigger than that bit I used to make these holes.
Yeah, that thing's kind of a chungus.
3 does. A little bit better. Find out if my bolt patterns are close enough.
Promising.
Look at that.
That is a nice fitment.
That's just satisfying. That it actually, both patterns are right on the first try. It's a miracle. Yeah, the OCD in me wants to machine these flat sides so that they all match, but that would be a waste of time. Now, let's see if I can actually install this.
Yeah, seems like that's gonna work great.
Indeed. cylinder, slap this thing on there, and then see if we can get it to fire up and see how it sounds. Just cutting a hole here so the exhaust can escape. We'll need some fine tuning in the future, but given that the body's plastic, the hole's gonna need to be a lot bigger than the pipe. Then we can make like an aluminum little surround thingy, so just... Looks like some sort of strawberry candy. Check this out. All right, let's see here. Before it was fine. This time it's idling super high. That was intense.
I can't believe you caught that laptop.
Yeah, I got it before it hit the ground. The last time I tried to save a laptop in a situation like that, I actually pushed it into the ground faster.
Well, that could have gone better and could have gone worse, but it works. Yeah. It runs and, to an extent, drives.
I'm glad the hard drives didn't get ran over. They have this video on them.
I know. Well, I told you I was going to show you something exciting. That's what I intended to happen.
That was very exciting.
Okay. I'm just going to see if it's still idling high. I put it in gear and it just decided to idle higher. Frickin' piece of turd.
Hey, well, that is not fragile at all. So
Exactly, that's
if you had
fine.
to hit something.
Yeah, that's why I tried it again and made sure I was going forward, because I knew if I hit that, it'd be fine. Okay, so I think what's happening here is the throttle cable is getting pulled on.
Oh, by
So-
the plastic. with
Yeah,
the
so
shift.
when I move it, so I need to like reroute that.
It looks so cool in motion. So cool.
Okay, so if it can do that with no lockers, entirely open diffs,
Yeah,
this thing is gonna be insane.
it's gonna be unstoppable.
You
Man.
had no troubles getting up that at all.
No, it didn't even try.
I think this re-excited both Ethan and I about this project.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm way more excited about this thing now that it runs and drives.
Yeah, and you get
All
the
over it.
opportunity to get even much closer with your close friends.
Exactly. Or in this case, with my close friend, the battery.
This is the factory wheel. We're looking at a 8x7. It even sounds like an old drag car, you know what I mean?
What a machine.
Oh yeah. Man, you bolt in that seat and the battery and you're looking nice, man.
Yeah,
Let
seat,
alone all the
battery,
other
gas
things.
tank.